What's up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of Mind Something. If you're new here, my name's Jake, and today we're going to take a little drive. Where are we driving to? We're going to drive to my shop so that I can show you guys all the progress on the solar system. So if you haven't seen the previous videos, I've got a couple out now just kind of documenting the process of my DIY solar system, 7,500 watts for under 3,000. And we've got a long drive ahead of us before we get to the shop, so we got plenty of time to talk about it. And once we arrive, I will show you again all the progress that's been made. So it's taken me a while to get all of my solar panels up on top of the shop. The help that I had lined up previously had flaked out on me 2 weekends in a row, and as you can tell, I have a full-time job, so just doing this in my spare time whenever I'm not doing husband and father duties. And yeah, very excited to get this over with. We've got an inspection coming up from the electricity provider, and basically they're just going to swap out the meter. I'm outside of the city limits, so I don't have to worry about pulling permits or doing anything like that, thank goodness. And yeah, here's our turn. It's a whole block away. Technically it's not a block away. We're just going through my alley because my shop is actually at the back of my property, which is a couple of acres. So meeting a good buddy of mine who actually happens to be my cousin's husband, and he's been gracious enough to donate his time today to help me get the last half of these solar panels put up. I've had the solar panels now for, gosh, probably about a month, and what can I say? Life gets in the way, right? But now that Ethereum has switched to proof of stake and nothing is profitable at the moment, it is imperative that I get these up and running as soon as possible so that I can continue to accumulate some coin. And if you've been watching the videos, you know I'm real big into Kaspa right now, and the difficulty is continuing to skyrocket. And for me personally, it's all about the coin. I just want to accumulate as much of it as I can. Let's say hi to our good friend Robert here.
What's up? Man, I really appreciate you coming, bro.
Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah.
Have you been awake long?
Since about 10.
Right on. How late did y'all stay up?
It's about 1:30.
Yeah.
So we're just going to skip ahead here, get the ladder set up, and essentially what we're going to do is carry these solar panels up with just the two of us. I tried carrying a couple of these up all by myself, and I was able to do one or two, but man, by the end of it, I was just completely spent. It wasn't safe. Luckily that day it wasn't very windy. It gets very windy where I live, and today, or the day that we're recording this video, it was extremely windy. So essentially what we're doing right here is trying to figure out, you know, do we want to set up two ladders, or do I just simply want him to hand them to me? And we went with obviously him just handing them to me. We get, I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5 of these up here before I decide that yeah, it's pretty easy for him, but it was extremely difficult for me and very dangerous because it was so windy. You might be able to see some of these trees blowing around, even though the video is in like, I don't know, 8x speed at the moment. This took a long time, so I just kind of want to speed through this as quickly as possible, and we'll kind of slow things down at some key moments just so that you can see what I'm doing. But yeah, all in all, it took, I'd say, roughly about 45 minutes to an hour just to get the remaining 15 solar panels up to the top of the roof. There you can see I'm discussing with him, let's go ahead and set up the other ladder and carry it up together instead of doing the little handoff system. Forgive the mess, guys. I actually rent the majority of my shop to a relative of mine who basically builds pools for a living. And yeah, he does not treat the property like it's his own, unfortunately. It is a huge mess. He kind of has, I don't know, let's say, not the cleanliest of habits. And it's kind of coming to a head, to be honest with you. I've asked him to leave a couple of times. I don't necessarily need the money from the rent, but you know, where else is he gonna go? It's very convenient for him, and he's taken care of me in the past and really helped me out. So I'm kind of just suffering through all of the mess temporarily, but we've had many discussions about getting this place cleaned up, and that'll be coming soon. It's kind of embarrassing, honestly, to show this on the YouTube channel, but regardless, the content I think is appreciated enough that I can deal with a little bit of embarrassment with the mess here. So it's not too hot today. It was about 87 to 90 degrees, which is extremely hot for, you know, being the end of September, but you know, with a little bit of a breeze going that day, it wasn't too intolerable. And as you can see, we're just carrying them up to the top here, sliding them over, then I get up to the roof, and all I'm doing right now is just kind of positioning them out of the way. As you can see on the other side, we'll pan to that side here in a minute, but as you can see on the other side, I have already 14 laid out, and there's going to be 15 on each side. So one side is facing to the east, one side is facing to the west, so I get to take advantage of when the sun comes up and when the sun goes down. Now ideally, in Texas, you would want them to face south. They would probably perform just slightly better, maybe not by much, but you know, I can't do much about the direction that the building faces. It is what it is, and I think it's going to do pretty well. I guess once we get it all up and running, we'll figure out exactly how well it's going to produce. But here towards the end of the video, I'm going to measure voltage on every single one of these panels. And I think most of you are probably already aware, but these are used panels that I got from a company called Santan Solar. And you know, I would have liked to have tested all of them prior to putting them up there, but in order to test them all simultaneously in the exact same position, it was best to just get them up there and then do the testing. That way I could see if there was panel that was performing worse than the others. But yeah, you'll see that here in a minute. I think at this point we've probably got about 10 of them up there, and we've got about 5 more or so to go. And then I'll say my farewells to Robert here. He had a pretty late night the night before, and I'm sure he's anxious to eat lunch at this point. He showed up about 10:30 in the morning, and we took about an hour to get all of these up here. By the way, while we're just kind of going through this video here, I did want to mention that at the time of recording, Ethereum has taken a pretty significant dip. I think it was about 1,350, and yeah, man, it's really tough watching it dip that low. I know it's probably going to go lower. I'm a long-term holder, unfortunately. I've traded a little bit for some other coins like Kaspa and some various other ones that I believe pretty strongly in, but yeah, we're gonna suffer through it. I know most miners are hell-bent on not being affiliated with Ethereum anymore. I do have conflicting ideas about the situation.
Ooh, man.
Hi, man.
Hey, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Yeah,
I
no
appreciate
problem.
it, man.
I've got some work stuff I gotta do.
I'll do my best not to ask for many more favors until I return that one.
No, don't worry about it.
All right, man.
Alright, so here's the meter, and it needs to be changed to a net meter, and then beside the meter we have a shutoff switch, and this would be required in order for me to put a net meter up there. Luckily I already had one, so I didn't have to worry about installing one, Now I may need a shutoff switch for the solar wires also, but the inspector is supposed to be here at 9 a.m. on Monday just to kind of take a look at what we got going on and see if there's anything that he wants me to add or to change. But once we're all on the same page and I'm ready to hook everything up, at that point they will come out and swap the meter. That process probably takes them, I don't know, maybe an hour or so. So we'll be up and running here pretty quickly. So you can see I've got the 14 on that side, and we're putting 15 on each side. So I've got 16 panels to move still. And at the moment they're not mounted. They are extremely heavy, even though it's windy. Not too worried about them blowing off the shop just yet, but it is imperative that I get them mounted. I haven't really decided on how I'm going to mount them just yet. I'm thinking about some type of, basically a ratchet type system. But if I use some kind of metal cable, I need to make sure that it won't rust. I could use something like a tow strap or a rope or something like that, but I just want to avoid putting 1,000 holes in this metal building. And I mean, even though the roof has already had an insurance claim on it and it's not going to be covered anymore, there's really no issues with me putting holes into it. But you know, just to avoid any kind of leaks, it's a lot of work to drill that many holes, for one, and two, you know, when it comes to making sure this thing is waterproof, we got expensive electronics in here, right? Graphics cards, power supplies. I just want to avoid trying to put too many holes in this thing. You'll notice here I'm taking a break. I had only moved like 3 solar panels at this point, but the wind was just atrocious. It was killing me. At some point you'll notice that it starts to go a lot faster, because I figured out, instead of carrying the solar panels horizontally, I stand them up and then carry them vertically. And just something about the position of my hands being a little further out allowed me to step over the ribs of this metal roof, and just kind of, I think maybe just the pattern of the routine, kind of figuring out where to place my feet without stepping on the ribs and denting the roof. It goes much faster once I kind of get a rhythm going. So yeah, as we watch me carry these 16 solar panels, I wanted to talk about the market just a little bit. I am noticing that a lot of people have jumped on to Kaspa. I wanted to mention that WoolyPooly is now probably well over 60 or 70% of the hash rate. There are some things in place with Kaspa's algorithm to avoid 51% attacks, but let's be on the safe side. Let's not rule it out. I am still trying to figure out if there is an alternative US-based or North American pool. As far as I can tell, the ACC pool is mostly everywhere other than the US, which is presenting a real problem right now. Even on the Kaspa Reddit page, they are, you know, spreading the word for everybody to distribute the hash rate. I have also been advocating for that on Twitter as well. I tweeted at I think WoolyPooly, Son of a Tech, Rabid Miner, and hadn't gotten a response yet, which is kind of disappointing. I would think that these guys would advocate for that, but who knows? Maybe they're busy and they'll get to it when they can. But at this point, I got to grab some gloves because the sun is just baking down. It's about noontime at this point, and grabbing those black solar panels was kind of burning my hands. But we're just about through moving these things over, and then you'll see once I get done moving them over, we will be basically testing every individual solar panel and seeing what kind of voltage that we're getting out of it. So yeah, if you guys are on WoolyPooly, please do your part. Please, if you're not in the United States, please try and find another pool. If you're inside the United States, I think Hashrate or Raptor Hash is another US-based pool. Unfortunately, I noticed that their block times were off, so there may be an issue there. Hopefully they're working on it, but if I can get an update, or perhaps you guys know, if you would leave a comment down below, or watch some of Son of a Tech's videos. He's got some very detailed videos on how to set up your own Kaspa node. I do recommend that people solo mine. You know, depending on how much hash rate you have, it's still a really good time to solo mine with Kaspa, even though our hash rate has increased 10x over the past 30 days or so. But yeah, I'm saying a lot. I'm sorry, guys. This is kind of an impromptu video. I recorded most of this today, but here it is. We're going to go test voltage on this and just kind of wrap up the video. I'll have some additional videos. We'll call it part 3. This isn't exactly part 3 where I get everything functional and show you all the testing of everything, but yeah, if you guys are interested in doing something like this, I highly recommend going the DIY route. This saved me probably $40,000 doing this myself, and you can do it if you figured out how to mine. This is, other than the physical aspect of it, you know, the mental capacity required to figure out how to hook up a solar system, it is extremely relaxed in comparison to figuring out how to mine all of these different coins and set up IVOS and creating wallets. And for some of you that may seem like second nature, but trust me, the solar system is really very, very basic. If you understand AC and DC, it's really not that difficult. So as you can see, that first panel had about 32 or 33 volts going through it. And I believe this one also has about 32 volts. So if you do the math, 32 volts times 8.3 or 8.5 amps is actually about 280 watts. These panels are rated at 255 watts, which means I am getting more than 100% of what they are supposed to do. And bear in mind that these particular panels are probably anywhere between 3 and 7 years old. So I'm extremely satisfied so far with my purchase from Santan Solar. I highly recommend that you guys give them a shot if you have some solar needs. And if you would, ask for a guy named Rusty at the Arizona location. He does not know that I'm referring anybody to him, but I really appreciate the nice panels that he picked out for me. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like, hit the subscribe. That being said, I'm out.